If a police officer asks you about drinking, drugs, or guns, your answer could be the difference between going home or going to jail.
This is an issue that every gun owner should be concerned about, and we in Congress should be concerned about it too.
Police officers are trained to ask the same 3 questions every single time they pull somebody over.
But public safety concerns must be addressed in ways that are lawful.
Even if you are innocent, your words can still be twisted and taken out of context.
4 words could be the difference between driving home safely and spending the night in jail. 4 simple words that most gun owners never learn until it's too late. And when you're carrying concealed, those 4 words become your lifeline between keeping your rights and losing everything. Right now, thousands of law-abiding citizens are making critical mistakes during routine traffic stops. Not because they're criminals, not because they're trying to hide something, but because nobody ever taught them the exact words that protect their freedom when blue lights flash in the rearview mirror. Today changes that. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to say, when to say it, and most importantly, what never to say when you're pulled over while legally carrying. These aren't just suggestions. These are battle-tested phrases that attorneys recommend and that have kept countless gun owners out of handcuffs. Let's start with the moment those lights come on behind you. Your heart rate spikes, your hands grip the wheel tighter, and if you're carrying, your mind races through 1,000 scenarios. This reaction is normal, but what happens next determines whether you drive away with a warning or end up explaining yourself to a judge. The officer approaches your window. Standard procedure, nothing unusual yet. Then comes the question that trips up 90% of drivers, and it's designed to do exactly that. Do you know why I pulled you over? 5 seconds. That's all it takes to answer. And in those 5 seconds, most people hand the officer everything needed to convict them. Here's what typically happens. The driver starts guessing. Maybe I was speeding a little. Did I roll through that stop sign? Was I weaving? Each guess is an admission. Each explanation is evidence. And when you're carrying concealed, those admissions can escalate a simple traffic violation into something far more serious. The psychology behind this question is brilliant and terrifying. Officers are trained to ask it because human nature compels us to fill silence. We want to appear cooperative. We think honesty will help. But in this moment, honesty isn't your friend. The officer already knows why they stopped you. They're not asking for information. They're gathering evidence.
Why are you making it so hard for me? I'm just trying to do my job. They're trying to guilt you into answering definitively. Don't do it.
We want to see Congress pass laws that will help reduce crime without infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens.
For the Supreme Court, it's all about language, reasonable suspicion, objective reasonable belief, or probable cause.
It's part of my license. I'm legally allowed to carry it. That's one way of answering.
It triggers something in me that something has to be done.
This case could reshape how far states can restrict your right to carry and where.
The Second Amendment protects the right to carry a gun in public for self-defense.
Your first critical phrase protects you from this trap. When asked if you know why you were pulled over, your response should be clear and simple. I'm not sure, officer. That's it. No elaboration, no guessing, no nervous rambling about being late for work or checking your phone at the last light. This response accomplishes 3 vital things. First, it's respectful and non-confrontational. You're not being difficult or evasive. Second, it doesn't provide any admission of guilt that can be used against you later. Third, it puts the burden back on the officer to explain the reason for the stop. Some people worry this sounds uncooperative. It doesn't. You're simply exercising your right not to incriminate yourself. The Fifth Amendment doesn't just apply in courtrooms. It protects you from the moment those lights flash. And when you're carrying a firearm, even legally, protecting yourself legally becomes exponentially more important. Now comes the second critical moment. The officer returns to their vehicle with your license and registration. Standard procedure again. But what happens next can turn a routine stop into a nightmare scenario for concealed carriers. The officer returns and starts asking questions. Seemingly innocent questions that are anything but. Where are you heading today? Coming from work? You seem nervous. Everything okay? These aren't small talk. Each question is designed to extend the stop, gather more information, and potentially establish reasonable suspicion for further investigation. And when you're carrying, extended stops dramatically increase the risk of misunderstandings or complications. But before we get to those questions, let's address the moment that sends more concealed carriers to jail than any other: the reach for documents. This single action, done incorrectly, has resulted in drawn weapons, felony charges, and lives forever changed. Not because anyone did anything illegal, but because of a failure to communicate. When the officer asks for your license and registration, your instinct is to comply quickly. You reach for your wallet, you lean toward the glove box, normal actions that become potentially deadly when you're armed. From the officer's perspective, they see sudden movement. They don't know if you're reaching for paperwork or something else. Your second critical phrase prevents this dangerous misunderstanding. Before moving an inch, you announce your intentions clearly. Officer, my license is in my back pocket. I'm going to reach for it now. Then, and only then, do you move slowly and deliberately. For registration, same process. My registration is in the glove box. I'll get that for you next. This narration serves multiple purposes. It eliminates any claim of furtive movement. It demonstrates respect and awareness. It keeps the officer informed and calm. Most importantly, it prevents the kind of misunderstanding that can escalate a traffic stop into a use of force incident. After handing over your documents, your hands return to the steering wheel. Visible, still, non-threatening. This isn't about submission, it's about controlling the narrative and maintaining a calm, professional interaction that ends with you driving away safely. Now the officer has your information, they've run your plates and license, everything checks out. You should be getting a ticket or warning and leaving, right? Not always. This is when many officers shift into investigation mode, especially if they're trained in drug interdiction or asset forfeiture. The questions become more probing. You don't have anything illegal in the car, do you? Any weapons I should know about? Mind if I take a quick look around? These questions are carefully crafted to either get you to admit something or consent to a search, and consent is exactly what they're looking for. Here's the truth about vehicle searches. If an officer has probable cause to search your car, they don't need your permission. They'll search regardless, but most traffic stops don't provide probable cause for a search. That's why they ask. They need your consent to make it legal. Your third critical phrase protects your Fourth Amendment rights. When asked if they can search your vehicle, your response must be unambiguous. I do not consent to searches. Not, I'd rather you didn't. Not, I don't think that's necessary. Clear, direct refusal. I do not consent to searches. This phrase is powerful because it forces the officer to either develop real probable cause or end the fishing expedition. Without consent, they need specific articulable facts that criminal activity is occurring. Your nervousness isn't enough. Your refusal isn't suspicious. They need real evidence. For concealed carriers, this protection is crucial. Even when carrying legally, searches can uncover technical violations you didn't know existed. A magazine capacity that's legal in your county but illegal 2 towns over. Ammunition stored incorrectly according to some obscure local ordinance. A knife that's perfectly legal where you live but considered a weapon where you're driving. When you refuse consent, some officers will push back. Why not if you have nothing to hide? This will just take a minute. Refusing makes you look guilty. Don't take the bait. Simply repeat, I do not consent to searches. You don't need to explain or justify. The Constitution is your justification. But what if they keep you there? What if the warning is written? The interaction should be over, but the officer keeps asking questions? This is where many people make their biggest mistake. They think being polite means answering every question. They think cooperation means staying as long as the officer wants. They're wrong. Once the purpose of the traffic stop is complete, any additional detention must be supported by reasonable suspicion of additional criminal activity. The Supreme Court made this clear. A traffic stop can't be extended beyond the time necessary to address the initial violation without new justification. Your fourth critical phrase ends unlawful detention. Officer, am I free to leave? This simple question forces a legal decision point. Either you're free to go, in which case you should leave immediately, or you're being detained, in which case the officer must have specific reasons. If they say you can't leave but won't explain why, you've entered dangerous territory. This is when you invoke your ultimate protection. I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I want an attorney. Then stop talking, completely. Not another word except to repeat your invocation of rights.
You do not have to say anything about guns in your vehicle. You can simply say, I plead the fifth.
The government may not regulate individuals' possessions of weapons for self-defense.
This is big.
Saying setting a higher threshold in an emergency could mean life or death.
Give us transparency in how you're going to handle them. And if there's a roadmap of what you're going to follow that's more clear, then it's going to be a fairer process for everyone.
My response to that is that's the same claptrap that they have been using for 20 years.
When things sound really good for gun owners in court, that doesn't mean it's over.
These 4 phrases work together to create a protective legal framework around you during any traffic stop. They're not magic words that make tickets disappear. They're not get-out-of-jail-free cards. They're tools that preserve your rights and prevent misunderstandings that could cost you everything. Practice these phrases until they become automatic. Say them out loud in your car. Role play with family members. Make them part of your muscle memory because in the stress of a real traffic stop, you won't have time to think. You'll only have time to react. Remember, these phrases aren't about being difficult or uncooperative. They're about being smart and legally protected. Every year, good people lose their gun rights, face criminal charges, and spend thousands on legal fees because they didn't know these simple phrases. Don't become another statistic. The most important thing to understand is that traffic stops are not casual conversations. Every word you say is being evaluated. Every movement you make is being watched. And when you're carrying concealed, the stakes are infinitely higher. One wrong word, one sudden movement, one moment of nervous oversharing can transform a minor traffic violation into a life-altering event. Stay calm. Use these phrases exactly as presented. Don't elaborate, don't explain, don't try to talk your way out of a ticket. Accept the citation if given and fight it in court if necessary. A traffic ticket is inconvenient. A criminal charge for something you said during a stop is devastating. Your rights don't disappear when those blue lights come on, but they only protect you if you use them correctly. These 4 phrases are your shield. Use them wisely, use them consistently, and use them every single time, because the one time you forget might be the one time that costs you everything. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.